Howdy folks, it's Darcy from the Purposeful Pantry, and welcome back to another edition of Drycember, where we're talking about taking a bite-sized chunk out of dehydrating every day throughout the month of December. For those of you who are new to dehydrating, who are interested in learning what it's about, who might have just gotten a new machine for Christmas, and even for those of you who've been at this a while. So today we're talking about conditioning and why it's the important next step before you put things away for long-term storage. So conditioning is the act of making sure that your food has the same humidity throughout the jar and that you don't run into issues with mold down the line. It is for long-term storage. It is not for those things that you plan on eating within the next 3 or 4 days. Those things don't need to be conditioned. Just enjoy your snack. If you're going to put that snack away later, you need to condition. But the idea that this is for storage, and it's one of those steps that's often missed when you look at websites where they're talking about dehydrating products. You need to condition because it's the bridge from drying to storage that's so important to catch any kind of moisture problems. So let's do a little quick tutorial on what conditioning is. If you want to learn more about it, I'll leave a link down in the description box below and in the iCards at the end to show you a deeper dive into what conditioning is. But this is just a quick tutorial to get you through these 31 days of Drycember. When you have dried your food, you've taken your samples out, you've let them come to room temperature, you tested them, you know they're dry, you take all of your food and you're going to put it away for storage. But first, before you do that, let's go through what you do with conditioning. You take everything away from your dehydrator, you allow it all to come to room temperature. Then you put it into a jar or a different kind of airtight container that has some movement. You need to make sure that you have some movement. With some things I have like a Rubbermaid, it's a Rubbermaid container that's about this big with a snap-on lid. It's like in the storage section, like Walmart and any of your grocery stores. I use it for larger amounts too because it's airtight. So it doesn't have to be just a mason jar. It can be anything airtight. So you put it into your airtight container, and what you're going to do is you're going to take this every day for a week to 10 days, however long you want to do it, and you're going to shake the jar just like this every day. What you're looking for is when you turn it over and you shake it, you're moving all the food around within your jar to make sure that everything has a chance to kind of evenly distribute whatever humidity is left over. That way all the pieces are the same. And then you're looking for anything that sticks to the top or sticks to the bottom of your jar or to the sides. If it sticks and does not come off with a vigorous shake, you need to put everything back into your dehydrator, let it dry again, and start over, because you might have some moisture here that's still causing things to stick. Now with fruit, you might find that you get that compression sticking because the sugar content of it and the weight can cause things to stick. But if a quick shake doesn't pull it off, you need to put it back in to dry a little longer. The other thing that you're looking for, and I'll put a picture right here, is if you start to see moisture buildup on any of your pieces, where you start to see what looks like little droplets of water forming, throw everything back in the dehydrator because it's got too much moisture in your jar and you need to put it back into dry. The last thing you're looking for is mold. And unfortunately, if you see mold form in your jar, you must throw everything out because it's not salvageable safely. What happens is that you might have some mold forming visibly here. You might want to take that part out and throw it away and let the rest go on with their business. But the problem is the way that mold forms is that it's got tendrils within the rest of your food that you just can't see yet. Or the possibility of that happening is an issue, and you don't want to eat molded food because it's not safe. So you toss your food, chalk it up to a lesson learned, and start over again on a new batch. But those things are what you do to check for moisture problems. Once you've gone through your week of conditioning, take your food into your permanent storage container that you choose. Do with it as you wish. We'll talk more about storing food in another episode in just a few days. And put it on your shelf after you've labeled your jar with the date and what's in it. And then put it on your shelf to store. Sticking in this in because I forgot about it. If you're conditioning powders, if you've gone from the drying mode straight to powder because you think that you're good and dry, you've ground it, you've got a powder, condition your powder. It's important because you may not have had everything dry enough when you dried it, and then you've gone into the powdering phase in your grinder and you've ground it. You may see a lot of sticking where things are starting to get really sticky. The easiest way is to put it on an oven, in a cookie sheet, put it into a warmed but turned off oven. If you have a pilot light, you don't need to worry about warming it. turn your oven off after warming it, put your tray in for about an hour, then take it out, and your powder is probably dry enough to go ahead and go into storage. It may feel a little cakey, but that's fine. Just use your hand. You can tell it's going to all come apart. If it's still really clumpy and sticky, you need to dry it longer. So conditioning, here it is. Drying, conditioning, and storage. You need to follow those steps. So again, I'm going to link you down below and in the iCards to a video or website, depending on what you prefer, where I talk about conditioning in more detail. So thanks for joining us. You can catch up on yesterday's video right here. You can catch up on the whole series here. You can subscribe to the channel here to catch all the videos throughout the month. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm glad you're here. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer them, or one of our other viewers will also chime in, because everybody's really helpful. And I'm so glad you're here, and I hope to see you tomorrow for another edition of Drycember.